Okay, now coming to the mediastinum, we have two main classification of mediastinum. First is the radiological or the Felsen classification, and second is the anatomical classification. So the Felsen classification says that there's one anterior line, there's one posterior line. Anterior line is anterior to the anterior end of the trachea, and then going posterior to the posterior aspect of the posterior pericardium. So anterior line is from anterior aspect of the anterior end of trachea and posterior of the posterior pericardium. This is anterior line, and posterior line is going along the vertebral bodies. So anterior to the anterior line we have anterior mediastinum, posterior to the posterior line we have posterior mediastinum, and between the anterior and the posterior line we have the middle mediastinum. Whereas coming to anatomical classification, we have, this is the anterior pericardium, this is the posterior pericardium. So anterior to the anterior pericardium we have anterior mediastinum, posterior to the posterior pericardium we have posterior mediastinum, and between the anterior and the posterior pericardium we have the middle mediastinum. So coming to the pathologies of mediastinum, we should know first is the pathology of grayscale, where the mediastinum may appear too white. This can be secondary to some mediastinal mass, or mediastinum may appear too black, and this may be due to pneumomediastinum. There may be increase in size of mediastinum, that will be seen in mediastinal mass. There may be change in position, there could be mediastinal shift. This could be secondary to pull or pulling of the mediastinum. This could be seen in pneumothorax, lung collapse also. So like we said, there is anterior mediastinum, middle mediastinum, and posterior mediastinum. So these are structures which we see in all of the all of this mediastinum, and the masses, the mediastinal masses which we see in the anterior mediastinum are various T's, that is thymoma, teratoma, thyroid, or terrible lymphoma. Whereas in middle mediastinum, bronchogenic cysts, eosinophilic masses are very common, and when for posterior, neurogenic tumor are very characteristic. And lymphoma we can see in any of these. So whenever we are suspecting a mediastinal mass, we first go for a chest X-ray PA and a lateral view, and this will help us to know if the mass is in mediastinum or some other place. And then we go for a CT or MRI, which will help us to better characterize the lesion. And then we go for tissue biopsy, which will help us in definite diagnosis. And then we go for surgical resection of for definite cure. So what's our approach to the mediastinal mass? So first, if we see a mass in the chest X-ray, we have to know that if it's in mediastinum or is it in the lung. Then we now we have seen that it's in mediastinum. Then we have to localize if it's in anterior, middle, or posterior mediastinum, and then we have to rule out of all the disease which we see in the various compartments that what it could be by knowing if it's fatty, fluid, or vascular. So first is we have to look for is the mass is in the lung or it's in the mediastinum. So like here we can say this is the lung, and this yellow thing is the parietal pleura covering the lung all around. So if a mass arises from the lung, then it will push on the parietal pleura, and this will produce an angle, and this angle is a acute angle. So if we find the mass producing an acute angle with the parietal pleura, then it's arising from the lung. But if we find that a mass is pushing on the parietal pleura, and the angle we are getting, angle here, this one is an obtuse angle. So if we find obtuse angle, then it could be arising from the mediastinum, or it could be extrapleural basically. So if we find acute angle, then it's arising from lung. If it's obtuse, then it's mediastinum or from extrapleural. So here in this chest X-ray, we can see some whitening over here. The mediastinum appear too white, and this is because there's a mediastinal mass. And we have to, like we have seen, it's a mediastinal mass. So there's some mass over here. We are not sure if it's a mediastinal mass or it's a lung mass. Then what we will do, we will see the angle here, angle here. So we can see the angle here is acute. So this mass is not from mediastinum, this is from lung. So this is a lung mass, most likely a lung tumor. Then we can see this is the mediastinum, and here mediastinum appears too white. So this could also be a mediastinal mass, or it could be a lung mass. Then we see the angle here, and we can see the angles are obtuse, not acute. So angles are obtuse. That means the mass here is a mediastinal mass. So here we can see this was a, because of acute angle this was a lung mass, and because of obtuse angle this was a mediastinal mass. Now when we have seen that it's a mediastinum, then we have to localize if it's in anterior, posterior or middle mediastinum, and so we have various signs for it. First is the silhouetting sign. So if there is a mass which will silhouette, if it's adjacent to some other structure, then it will silhouette it, and this silhouetting is very characteristic with masses. So if we see here that there is a mass here, and we came to know that because of obtuse angle this is a mediastinal mass, and then we saw that here we should see a normal right atrial heart border, but we cannot see the right atrial heart border here. That means the mass here has silhouetted the right heart border here, and this means the mass is somewhere on the same aspect as the right atrium, meaning it's either in the anterior or it's in the mediastinum. And when we further follow up the patient, then we came to know that it's in anterior mediastinum and the mass was thymoma. Coming to cervicothoracic spine, cervicothoracic sign. So if a mass stops at the level of clavicle, it means that the mass is in anterior mediastinum. But if it goes above the level of clavicle, that means it's in medial or posterior mediastinum, because anterior mediastinum stops at the level of clavicle. So here if we can see the mass stopped at the level of clavicle, meaning the mass was in anterior mediastinum. But here we can see the mass went above the level of clavicle, meaning the mass was in middle or posterior mediastinum. Same was thoracoabdominal sign. If we see a mass which is going below the level of diaphragm and we can still clearly see the mass, that means the mass is not in anterior mediastinum, it is in middle or posterior mediastinum. So if a mass is seen stops at the level of clavicle, or it stops at the level of diaphragm, then it's in anterior mediastinum. But if it does not stop, it goes above or below, then it's middle or posterior mediastinum. Next we have hilum overlay sign. Here we can see there is some mediastinal mass over here, and when we see, we can see normal hila clearly seen here. That means the mass is not at the level of hila, as it is not silhouetting the hila. So it is not at the level of middle mediastinum. It is either rising from the anterior mediastinum or from the posterior mediastinum, but not from the middle mediastinum. This is known as the hilum overlay sign. Next is the hilum convergence sign. Here we can see there is some mass over here, and when we see the pulmonary these pulmonary vessels, if we see they are arising at the level of mediastinal mass, that means it's not a mediastinal mass, it's a hypertrophic pulmonary artery. But if we see a mediastinal mass, and when we see this prominent hila, but we see the vessels going somewhere around the heart only, pulmonary artery converge at the level of heart, that means it's a mediastinal mass, not a pulmonary artery. Coming to the second pathology, that was pneumomediastinum, meaning there is too much blackening of the mediastinum. That is why is that? Because there is air in the mediastinum. So there are many chest X-ray signs which we see in a pneumomediastinum. First one is the thymus sail sign, or angel wing sign, or spinnaker sign. In this we can see this was a normal heart and everything, and here this is the thymus. And normally we do not see thymus such like that. Here we can see the lobe of the thymus is displaced laterally and superiorly, and it can be seen separately from the heart and the mediastinum because of the presence of air in between them. And this is known as thymus sail sign, or angle wing, or a spinnaker sign. Second is the neck release V sign. Here we can see a loosened bank of air here and forming a V, and this is neck release V sign. Next we have a continuous diaphragm sign. Here we can see there is continuous of air below the level of heart, and this gives a appearance of a continuous diaphragm, and this is the continuous diaphragm sign. Coming to the fourth thing, that is the hilum. So first we discussed about the trachea, then we went to the heart, and then we talked about the mediastinum. Now we are going to talk about the hilum. We can see there is a right hilum and there is a left hilum. Hilum is mainly composed of the bronchi as well as pulmonary artery and veins. Of all of these, pulmonary arteries give the biggest contribution to the hilum. And when we see the left hilum appears at the higher level than the right hilum, and that is because if we see clearly, we have left main bronchus going, and the pulmonary artery, left pulmonary artery arches over the left main bronchus. So we have left main bronchus here, and the left pulmonary artery arches over left main bronchus, and that's why left hilum is superior to the right hilum. Pathologies of hilum, we can have pathology of size or shape, where we can have hilar enlargement. This could be unilateral or bilateral. It could be change in hilum. This could be pushing or pulling of the hilum also. So hilum enlargement, it could be unilateral. Unilateral means there is TB infection, there is lymphoma, carcinoma. Bilateral, if it's bilateral and it's uniform, then that is secondary to enlargement of pulmonary arteries. Pulmonary arteries of hilum have enlarged, and that is given as the uniform bilateral hilar enlargement. But if it's non-uniform, then we should always rule out TB, sarcoidosis, silicosis, lymphoma, carcinoma, and or some mets. So here we can see clearly, this was a chest X-ray, this was a hilum, this was the hilum, and we can see the both hilar are prominent, and they are uniformly prominent. These are both are uniformly prominent, and we have also prominence of pulmonary arterial tract also, and there's peripheral pruning of pulmonary vessels also, such of pulmonary arterial hypertension. Here if you see, there's prominence of left hilar, there's prominence of right hilar, and these are non-uniform. And we can also see this prominence of right paratracheal adenopathy also. So we have left hilar adenopathy, right hilar adenopathy, and right paratracheal adenopathy. This is the 1, 2, 3 sign, or the Garland sign, which is very characteristic of sarcoidosis. Here we can see this is the left hilum, and there is uniform enlargement of left hilum. So this shows of tumor, TB, sarcoidosis, tumor, TB, or lymphoma, carcinoma.